Does it take a cultural change to make native advertising work? And what is the potential?
I have not had that much trouble with the cultural issues myself, because I've usually been in situations where they were already undergoing a transition. But I can say that, I mean, I can name one client. We have a PBS property, a public broadcasting system, which again is not a newspaper, but they have very strict advertising standards, and we do what you would consider native advertising into the social stream. And there are very strict standards there, including the fact that ultimately because editors, the editorial chain controls the social stream, they have the right ultimately to negotiate different language with the advertiser. So both sides have to approve it. It's not exactly a culture clash, but it's a case where you have to educate the salespeople to say, you guys can offer this, but you have to tell the client that what they think is okay may not be, and then you have to tell the editors, you guys can look at this and say you don't like it, but you can't just write whatever you want. You're also going to. So it's it gets a little uncomfortable, because when the toes of those two teams touch, it's not always completely comfortable. But there are those standards.
Yeah, and there have there have been some interesting things happening in this space. I mean, the Atlantic and the Church of Scientology kind of comes to mind as one kind of interesting meeting between editorial and commercial. I mean, is this a space that publishers, with great heritage and reputation should feel comfortable getting into? Maybe Clark or Grant, if you have any thoughts on this at all.
Yeah, we watched the case of the Atlantic, and I think it's very popular to pile on that as if that's how it's all going to turn out. That's a very naive and almost "I told you so" cultural approach. We've looked at them. We've watched Forbes. I think what Forbes is doing with ad voices is brilliant, and of course BuzzFeed. And I know some of the work that Teaming Media has done there. The key is, I think, first of all, transparency is key, and you can't violate that. That's going to kill everyone. And whether you're a traditional media company or a startup, that's got to be paramount to the structure. The other thing is, it's got to be much more than an advertorial content. And I end up following Louis Dworkin's comments on their Brand Voices product quite consistently. And anyone who's interested in that, I'd look at them. I think they're far more nuanced and sophisticated. It's, I think a lot of people think native advertising is a advertorial. And if you look at a content flow with maybe 5 or 6 steps, the advertorial might be in there somewhere, or it might not. What they're trying to do is do value-added content brought to you by a client, where they develop a content strategy around the needs of the client, they create content, they then publish that content, and traditionally that's what we think of as an advertorial. Yeah. But they kind of joke that, once in a while someone produces an advertorial. It's not what they're trying to do. It's value-added content where the company might have a brand affinity or an expertise. Transparency needs to remain key, and it's got to be good. Yeah. But then once you publish it, you've got merchandising that content, and you've got social promotion of that content. I mean, that's a very sophisticated value chain, not publish an advertorial on B7.